Hey everybody, welcome back to Kayfabe Critique. I am David.
I'm Jason, coming to you from the crib because I got carb troubles.
And so, this is one of our new editions, one of our new shows we're going to be bringing to you through Kayfabe Critique, and this is called Backseat Booker. So this is where we're going to take a moment and just have some fun, just a little bit of fantasy play, and where we're going to look at a situation or maybe a character, and we're going to rebook them and look at what we would have done with them. We're going to have some fun. We'll go back to the past. We'll look at some modern stuff as well. And so, Jason, what's our first topic going to be?
Well, we're going to talk about the man who was battling Bumblebee, who he was trying to block a cock. He was trying to be this John Cena.
Yeah, the 16, woo! Oh wait, the other 16-time world champion, John Cena. So we know Cena recently returned. He returned on SmackDown, into which he teamed up with Becky Lynch. And then he also made an appearance on Raw to announce that he is entering the Royal Rumble, and he teamed with Seth Rollins and was part of a 6-man tag match there. But I think we both think we would have done it a little bit differently, right, Jason?
There's certain aspects of it I would have done differently. I mean, I definitely would have had the Becky thing go down, without a doubt. But, also, I've got some other ideas that crawling around in my head that I might have experimented with.
Yeah, see, and me, I would have, like I told you already, I would have done it completely different. I would have brought Cena back, and I would have been making him a heel. Not necessarily your traditional heel, but the anti-establishment heel, the guy going against the grain of the WWE. I would have brought him back, talking about, he is a 16-time world champion. He's been there since 2002, and he has watched this slow and steady decline in popularity of the product, the slow and steady decline of the ratings, and that in his time away, he was looking at it and was coming back because he was going to push the WWE into a direction to bring it back up to where it needs to be, break Ric Flair's record, and drive fans back to wrestling before he goes off into the sunset. And really push him as this front runner of the new change and have him going completely against what the current WWE stands for. But then I would have shook it up a little bit. I would have had the very next person walk out, stand by his side, be Drew McIntyre. To add a little muscle behind him. Then I would have followed it up by bringing the man, Becky Lynch. So that way he has the crowd swell, the female champion as well. Bringing in the women's division, who's also the most popular star right now. To have the three of them going, and you're don't necessarily have to call the group the NWO, but it's going to have that NWO type feel. And then from there, I would have put a worker in there, someone that can go in there and just steal the show. Maybe Mustafa Ali. Initially when I was talking to you about it, Jason, I had talked about, bringing in Chris Jericho, but, now we know he's in AEW, so you couldn't do that. But, definitely bring in a worker as well and just build this group to where the group can go from Raw to SmackDown. They're not locked down on a single show. They're going back and forth, really shaking things up, making it exciting, making it look like it's not part of the standard show, that just like the NWO, that they're interrupting what's going on, they're going against the grain, making it exciting, making impromptu moments, improv matches, if you will, and just continuing to build with that to the point where you bring up a group to try to stop them and have that group be the club. Have, Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Gallows and Anderson team up to go against this group. And maybe pull like a, Ronda or somebody on their side to go up against Becky. That's how I would have done it.
I can see that. I could definitely see that. And I think that the concern that WWE's always had with Cena is, that child fan base. But you gotta let Cena grow up a little bit. I mean, Cena's getting big. He's getting to be big. He's getting to be bigger mean, the whole Nikki Bella thing, they can play off of that. I mean, he can come back, like, seeking to, they could just have him come back and just start mowing through everybody, just come out. I mean, you know how Stone Cold used to just stun people all the time? I mean, he just comes out and starts dropping attitude adjustments on everybody just for no reason. Babyface heel, he doesn't care.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and if, in that group I have in mind, that's what I'm thinking is that you go against everything that it stands for. And I definitely get that, WWE looks at him that he's with the Make-A-Wish things and everything, he is a true hero of many. He sells a lot of merchandise. He has been the baby face and the face of the company for so long. But isn't that the same argument that was to be made in WCW of why turn Hogan heel?
It was. I think the difference is that Hogan had some natural heat with him coming off the steroid thing, and he was also in like the Southern Territory, which they really weren't feeling him. I mean, people like fans boo Cena, but it's a different kind of boo. It's a lot of times, quite frankly, fans are booing Cena just because it's just what you do. I mean, the fans down in before Hogan turned heel and then after, they really wasn't feeling them at all.
But was that so much they weren't feeling him because they were just tired of the same pace? Kind of the same thing that Cena has felt over the backlash and reports online over the past couple years of, people just kind of tired of the same routine from John Cena.
Yeah, and I mean, where does he go though? I mean, does he start wearing?
Well, I mean, the same thing was asked of Hogan. Like, if you turn Hogan heel, was there ever coming back? And the shock value of turning him heel and creating the NWO, ended up being taken on a life of its own and ended up being bigger than they had ever expected. I think you have that ability to do that with Cena, and then you can always revert from the group. And as long as you don't take him too far, like in the direction I'm talking about spinning him, yeah, he'd be a heel, he'd be interrupting the status quo, but he's not doing any cheap heat. So he's not putting himself in a position that it's unforgivable.
Right. And he's you could do that, and you could also, another idea I have for him is, I think he goes between Raw and SmackDown. Have him just go in between shows. This just popped into my head. He really needs to get some get back from that just destruction Brock laid on him a few years ago because we don't know how much longer Cena's going to go now, and he's not going to have too many more chances. So maybe he somehow gets himself mixed up in this Universal Championship picture and screws Brock or something like that, or screws Strowman to get to Brock.
Yeah, you could always do that. You can always make a whole thing around his quest to break Flair's record. Talk about how long Ric Flair's record has stood, and how other than Cena, no one else has ever reached this number to tie Flair, and really put the focus on, what Flair accomplished, what Cena accomplished, and really just kind of make that drive to break the record, kind of like where you can almost create that excitement that you had with, Barry Bonds chasing the home run record, the single season home run record with Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa that summer, Peyton Manning going towards, breaking the touchdown record. There's so much sport, that you can play into this angle as well.
Right. You could definitely do that. And, do you use Flair somehow to try to put a group together to keep him from that? We saw, the Evolution reunion got popped at the SmackDown 1000. You don't necessarily have to have Batista in there, but you could use Triple H, you could use Flair, you could use Orton, you could find some other people to use to try to in the name of Ric Flair, keep him away from that record, from breaking that record.
Yeah. Absolutely, you gotta throw that obstacle in to help drive that, excitement and that anticipation of the story. Yeah, absolutely. Which, and in that situation, you can actually still try to do that type of a story. He's announced he's going for the Royal Rumble. That could be his first step, in going towards getting his championship spot, so he could start talking about, getting that championship opportunity to break Ric Flair's record. So you could definitely still go in that direction from where they're at right now.
Without a doubt, and I kind of feel like that's the direction that they're going to head in, because he announced that he's going to be in the Rumble, and you're going to have some moments in that Rumble that you're going to have some interaction between Cena and some of the guys who are coming up, like the Drew McIntyre, people like that, and it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. And it could, if Cena actually won the Royal Rumble, I'm not saying, I don't really have an opinion on it either way at this point, but think about what that would do for WWE. Think about it. If he wins the Royal Rumble and he's back in the main event of WrestleMania after what happened last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I think the kind of the two questions that we have to really kind of think about, in terms of that type of storyline is, one, how much time does Cena actually have left of a true performer compared to becoming a special attraction?
That is a huge question, because when you're making movies, and Cena actually confessed that he didn't understand this when he was criticizing The Rock for going away and making movies.
Mm-hmm.
When you're making movies, it's such a huge commitment, and if something happens to you where you can't make that movie, okay, yeah, you're going to lose your money for making the movie, but those camera people, the other actors, all these other people are actually going to lose money too. So you're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting so many other people. So,
right.
As roles start to come in for him, it's going to be harder and harder for him to get into the wrestling ring because of the risk that comes with getting in there.
Yeah, and a lot of people overlook that they look at a 2-hour movie and forget that there's a lot of days and 15-hour days that go into making that 2-hour movie. So, yeah, absolutely, the time commitment there. And so, I agree. I don't think we have much time left of John Cena as a true performer compared to when he's going to become a special attraction. And so, I think the time of, is dwindling that you can actually put the title on him. So, the next question becomes, is he deserving of being the man to break Ric Flair's record? Yeah. In my opinion, I would say yes. When you look at the transition of history, when you look at WWE, Hogan was the big superstar. Yes, you had great wrestlers follow Hogan, and in Hogan's absence, like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. But your next big superstar of the Hogan caliber was Steve Austin. During that same time frame, you had The Rock pop up, but when The Rock hit that level of popularity, it wasn't long before The Rock was gone. Cena hit that level of popularity in 2004 and has stayed in the company. He hasn't went anywhere else. He's been loyal to the company. He has been that level and the face of the company for a long time, and that record has truly never came from a true WWE star. Ric Flair won a lot of his early titles as NWA titles, and then they became WCW titles, and you had some WWE championships mixed in there as well. This would be the first guy to do it and do it purely in the WWE.
That's true, and just with the appreciation I've developed for Ric Flair, it's hard for me to see anybody break that record. Mm-hmm. Given the way, giving not just the fact of the record, but the way Ric Flair did it. He was on the road 300 days a year worldwide defending that championship. Doing hour-long matches, or 43 in some cases, depending on who you talk to. I mean, 43 matches as hour matches, but he was in there for a long time. Let's put it like that.
Yeah,
just thinking about that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. In terms of, it's one of those things that the respect for Ric Flair, you kind of want that record to stand alone with him forever. But it's not alone with him forever right now. Cena's already tied it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan. But I got love for LeBron James. LeBron James is probably going to pass him on the scoring list at some point this year.
Right.
But in my mind, that doesn't make LeBron James a better player. So I guess, saying all that to say, I'm okay with Cena breaking a record, but in my mind, Ric Flair will probably still be the greatest of all time.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that, and I don't think anybody would argue that. I mean, it's kind of like, when you talk about boxing, Muhammad Ali, everyone called him the greatest because he was the first man to become a 3-time world champion. A lot of people forget that Lennox Lewis was also a 3-time world champion. Evander Holyfield was a 4-time heavyweight champion. You can call Evander Holyfield a 5-time world champion if you count what he did in the cruiserweight division. But they're strictly talking about heavyweights. And so looking at the heavyweight, Evander Holyfield won it 4 times, which broke Muhammad Ali's record. But I don't think anybody looks at Holyfield and says greatest of all time.
No, they don't. They look at him as great, but not the greatest of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely among the greatest of all time. But yeah, Ali kind of holds that spot. And so I think Flair is the same way. I think Flair was such a large persona in the wrestling world, and he did it in a very different time. So I think Flair's always going to be looked at a different level. But and looking at pure numbers, yeah, I think Cena deserves to go ahead and get that nod.
He does, and I really hope he does. I hope he does get it, and I think it should happen at WrestleMania. What better place is there for it to happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then from there, he can drop the title and become a special attraction, but kind of reward all his years of loyalty. The guy is the single largest Make-A-Wish, giver in the world. So, he's granted more wishes than anyone ever. So, that says a lot about his personality as well.
It does, and I really have a lot of respect for Cena because just the guy that he is and how genuine he is. How much I'm sure he's heard all the heel turn talk through the years, but he's never stopped being who he is. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jason, any other thoughts of what you would have done with Cena's return?
The only other thing I might have done with Cena's return is have him not come out and do a promo to start. I would possibly have had him come back, and I would have had him I would have him come back with a run-in.
Mm-hmm.
And interjecting himself into the Strowman Lesnar thing or into the AJ Styles Daniel Bryan thing. More than likely, I would have chosen to interject him into the Strowman Lesnar thing because that thing needs something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the Universal title is definitely at a low. I don't know. I'm hoping that after the Royal Rumble, we get just a fresh start with that title. I'm hoping let Braun take it off Brock and just start moving it forward into a different direction. I wish there was somebody out there that still had Money in the Bank that they can cash in and really move it in a different direction. But yeah, I agree with you. The Universal title needs some sort of injection to really pick some life up into it.
world title has become to me because of what Seth Rollins is doing, because of what AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan are doing. The Universal Championship has become like, man.
Yeah, and the way the Universal title is so low right now, you hardly see it. I was wondering when the McMahons were talking about a change of direction, I was almost expecting, as this year started off, they were going to start the new year by saying the brand split is done, that they were going to combine it back into, one roster carrying 2 shows with just 1 championship.
And I would like to see that personally, because having 2 different world champions, who's the true champion? I mean, like AJ was there the whole time. AJ's been there holding it down. Daniel Bryan, since he's come back, he's been there holding it down. So they're the champions that you're going to see every week. Whereas maybe if we just heard from Brock every once in a while, like he just cut a promo on somebody or something, or Heyman came out and cut a promo on somebody via satellite or something that might add something to the Universal title. But right now, it's just get it into somebody's hands so they're actually gonna be there.
Yeah, and so like we were talking, kind of to bring this, backseat Booker to a close. You can put that belt around Cena, break the record, and then, I get it. It's hard to have Braun or Brock lose to someone because of the mistakes that you built around them. But you can put that belt around Cena and drop it to a Finn Balor. You can put the belt around Cena and drop it to a Seth Rollins. You can put the belt around Cena and drop it to anyone, because we know John Cena doesn't have an issue doing jobs. And not saying that those guys do, but he can do it and do it believably, where, you really have to come up with something special to have Braun or Brock lose.
Right, and winning the world title from a guy who's a 17-time world champion gives you instant credibility.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope you had some fun with this. So we're going to keep doing stuff like this. Probably our next backseat Booker, Jason, I'm thinking, why don't we rebook Bret Hart's debut in WCW?
I like it. Let's do it.
All right, so we hope you enjoyed this segment. There'll be more to come. And our next episode that we will be bringing you is going to be, divided up into these short episodes as well, looking at the early days of the New World Order.
And hopefully I'll be there in person next time, once I get this car fixed. But y'all know how it is.
All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you next time.